Welcome back to the Deep Dive.
Yeah.
Today, we're tackling a question that honestly gets right to the heart of it all. At salvation, what actually changes? We're focusing on a section of our source material, Part 9, that's all about this one powerful idea, reconciliation.
And look, if you're thinking this is going to be a purely theological, abstract discussion, you might want to buckle up. Our mission today is to really unpack what reconciliation means, the rebuilding of that relationship.
Right.
But then, and this is the crucial part, we're going to dive into what the sources insist is the non-negotiable consequence of that.
What's that?
A radical external shift in your friendships and your whole relationship with what they call the world.
Okay, let's just jump right in, because that premise is already so challenging. Forget the verses for one second. What's the single most jarring claim that comes out of this?
The big one.
Yeah.
It's that reconciliation with the divine is just fundamentally incompatible with your old alliances. It's that stark.
Incompatible. So you can't have both.
Not according to this. Think of it almost like changing your citizenship. The sources say God takes the first step, he removes the hostility that sin caused, and boom, the relationship is restored.
That's the internal part.
That's all internal. But that divine act demands an immediate and very observable shift in your loyalty, your behavior, and critically, who you call your friends.
It sounds less like a suggestion and more like a condition of the deal.
It's presented exactly that way.
So to guide our deep dive, we're using the framework from the material, which points us to some really powerful New Testament passages.
We're looking at 2 Corinthians chapter 5, Colossians 1, and then it gets really intense with James chapter 4.
And 1 John, which has some incredibly direct things to say.
Oh, absolutely. Those passages are foundational. They basically lay out the terms of the spiritual contract, and then they outline the penalties for non-compliance, if you will.
Okay, let's start with the definition then. If we're throwing around this word reconciliation, what does it functionally mean in this context?
Well, the sources pull from 2 Corinthians 5, and they define it very actively. Reconciliation is the process of restoring people to God.
An ongoing thing.
An ongoing action. Then Colossians 1 comes in and just cements it, saying being saved is the same thing as being reconciled. The idea is simple. Before, there's hostility. Now there's a peace treaty. The relationship is back on.
And what I find fascinating is how the sources stress who starts this. It's not the individual working their way back.
Not at all.
It's made very clear that God takes the initiative. He's the one who removes the hostility. It's an act performed for the individual.
And that is the key precondition, that restored relationship, that peace is the foundation for everything that has to follow.
Ah, okay.
So if that foundation is now secure, then the whole superstructure of your life has to change to reflect that new loyalty.
Right. It's like if you pledge allegiance to a new country, you can't keep working for the old regime.
You absolutely cannot. You can't collaborate with the opposition.
This is where it gets really practical and I think really challenging for us today, because the source material just leaps from this internal status change to the external proof.
It does. It offers what is essentially a litmus test for the listener.
And what is that test?
It's a single declarative statement, and it's designed to make you stop and think. It says, a salvation that does not affect your friendship is not correct salvation.
Wow. Okay, just let's sit with that for a second.
It's a heavy one.
That one phrase just yanks reconciliation out of the clouds of theology and puts it right into your social life, your phone contacts. The burden of proof is on your relationships.
And the logic from the material's point of view is just ruthless. If you are truly reconciled to God, then you are required, not just asked, but required, to stop defriending the things that oppose God.
So it's a necessary break.
It's presented as the only logical next step. I mean, if you join a company, you don't keep sharing trade secrets with their biggest competitor. You definitely don't keep cheering for the rival team.
I have to pause here because for anyone listening, this sounds almost impossible in a modern pluralistic society. Are the sources really saying you cut off everyone who doesn't believe exactly what you believe?
That's a really important clarification. I think the source material is less concerned with who you, say, have a coffee with.
Okay.
And it's entirely focused on who you align your heart with, your actions. It's about shared values and ultimate loyalties.
So it's about the nature of the friendship itself.
Exactly. When the sources point to 1 John, the break is described as no more friendship with sin and the world. The issue isn't necessarily the person, it's the principles that the relationship is built on.
So the shift in relationships is really a mirror. It's reflecting that internal change of identity.
A self-defining process, yes. If your loyalty is now to the divine, you can't maintain an allegiance to friends or forces whose entire way of being is, well, fundamentally opposed to that loyalty.
It's an active severance of that allegiance, not passive.
It has to be active. You have to choose.
And this choice brings us to some of the most explosive language in the whole text. This is where it stops defining and starts warning.
Yes. The language becomes extreme because the choice is treated as high treason, spiritually speaking. They bring out the big guns with James chapter 4, verse 4.
And what does that quote say?
Yeah.
Because the term it uses is shocking.
The source quotes it directly. Ye adulterers and adulteresses, know ye not that the friendship of the world is enmity with God? Whosoever therefore will be a friend of the world is the enemy of God.
Adulterers and adulteresses. I mean, that's not just disagreement. That's the strongest possible language for betrayal, for breaking a sacred vow.
It absolutely is. It frames the relationship with the divine as a covenant, like a marriage. So to keep that friendship with the world is presented as spiritual infidelity.
So the source is saying you are choosing something treacherous, something hostile to God.
Right. It defines it as enmity with God. And there's no gray area here. There's no middle ground. You're either a friend of God or, based on who you're aligned with, you're an enemy of God.
That is a stark binary. And the source uses that intensity to basically force a moment of self-reflection from the listener. It practically shouts the question, who is your friend?
And that question forces a confrontation. But to answer it properly, you have to know what this term, the world, actually means.
Right. It's not the planet. It's not every single person out there.
No. It's a specific system of values.
So if we're supposed to break up with the world, we need to know what we're breaking up with. And the sources pivot to 1 John chapter 2 for that definition. What's the core instruction there?
The instruction is basically a declaration of incompatibility. It says, love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him.
A zero-sum game.
It's presented as one. You can't genuinely align your heart with both.
Okay, so that's the prohibition. Let's break down the components. The material gives us a three-part definition of the world.
It does. The three components that have to be rejected are the lust of the flesh and the lust of the eyes and the pride of life.
These are the things we're not supposed to love.
These are the deep motivational structures that the source says run completely counter to reconciliation.
Okay, let's ground these in modern life because they can sound a bit academic. First one, the lust of the flesh. What is that, really?
In the source's view, that's the constant drive for immediate physical satisfaction, the cravings, the impulses that demand to be fed right now.
So not just sinful acts, but the underlying drive for comfort.
Exactly. It's the addiction to easy pleasure, the avoidance of discipline. It's always choosing the path of least resistance, of instant gratification. If your friendships are built around that, that's a problem.
Okay, what about the second one, the lust of the eyes?
This is the engine of materialism. It's the desire for things just because you see them and you want them. It's about acquisition and envy.
So keeping up with the Joneses.
It's the endless scrolling on social media, coveting someone else's vacation, their car, their house. It's that constant need for more stuff to define who you are. The sources see this as inherently fleeting.
That feels incredibly relevant to today. We're just bombarded with images designed to make us want more.
Constantly.
And the final one, the pride of life.
This seems less about things and more about status.
It is. It's vanity. Self-exaltation. It's the relentless need to be seen as important or smart or successful by the world's standards.
Your social media persona.
That's a perfect modern example.
Yeah.
It's curating a performance of your life just to get praise and recognition. The source argues that this obsession with self is the direct opposite of humility and loyalty to the divine.
So this really clarifies why that change of friendship is seen as mandatory. If your social circle is primarily motivated by these three things, physical gratification, materialism, and self-promotion, then staying in that circle is being in enmity with God.
It connects the dots. It connects your abstract spiritual status to the very real, concrete evidence of your life's priorities.
And then the source material delivers the final blow, really. It contrasts the outcome of these two paths.
It does. It references John 2.17 to just seal the argument.
And what's that final contrast? It's permanence versus impermanence, the text says. And the world passeth away, and the lust thereof. But he that doeth the will of God abideth forever.
So everything that defines the world, the lusts, the pride, the friendships built on them, it's all temporary. It's all fading.
It all has an expiration date. They're temporary investments.
Yeah.
But doing the will of God is presented as something eternal, something that abides.
So the choice of friendship isn't just a social choice. It's a choice between loyalty to what passes away and loyalty to what lasts forever.
And that is the absolute crux of it. The sources are mandating a radical reevaluation of what you value. Why pour your loyalty, your energy, your heart into relationships and goals that are guaranteed to disappear?
This has been a really compelling and, I have to say, deeply challenging deep dive. Let's try to summarize the central tension here for everyone listening.
I think the core tension is this. Reconciliation with God is not just a private internal event. It fundamentally reorients all of your external loyalties.
And it's non-negotiable.
It's non-negotiable. The sources argue it demands an immediate, visible break in your allegiance to the world, which is defined by those internal drivers, lust, envy, and pride, all things that ultimately pass away.
And I think the one critical takeaway here, the line that stands out, is that the evidence of this change isn't a feeling. The primary proof, according to this material, is a measurable shift in your relationships.
It all comes back to that one statement.
A salvation that does not affect your friendship is not correct salvation. It puts your observable behavior, who you align with, as the ultimate indicator of your internal state.
It does.
So since the source material leaves us with this stark contrast, the things of the world that pass away versus doing the will of God that abideth forever, we want to leave you, the listener, with a final provocative thought.
Right. If the relationships we prioritize today are built mostly on the shared pursuit of things that these sources say are destined to fade away, the pleasures, the possessions, the pride, how does that change how we view their actual value?
It's a question of investment, really. Are you prioritizing the relationships that are temporary, or the ones that are built on something that, according to this, abides forever? Thank you for joining us for this intense deep dive into reconciliation and the unexpected cost of friendship. We'll see you next time.